So let's close this. And the first thing that we want to do is open up the editor over here with the double rings and close this toolbar. And let's close this as well. And what we need to do is link all of our text fields and our picker view. We need to get all of that into our main view controller. So let's click over here. If it's not showing up, it might be manual. So let's click automatic and main view controller. And I noticed the beta isn't selecting automatic very well, so you might have to do that yourself. So the next thing that we want to do is drag in our text field here, our IB outlet, right click and drag over to our controller. And we want to name this player choice text, TXT. We'll leave it as a UI text field and we'll click connect. Let's just space down a little bit here, give us some room. And then the picker view, you want to right click and drag that as well right under the text field here. And let's just name this game picker view and connect as well. Now we need our score here. So make sure you click on the first 0 here and right click and drag. And this will be player wins, and we'll connect. And click on the next one and we'll add that as well. And we can name this app wins and connect. And then the button, we want to right click on it and we need to pick touch up inside and drag that over into our view controller as well. So we're going to click and drag that, and we're going to name this play button, do BTN touched, and UI button, make sure that's selected, and connect. Okay, so now we have our button set up. We have both of our scores. We have the picker view and we have the text field ready to go. And there are two other ones that I forgot to add. So this one as well, we want to drag over here because we are going to actually display the username up here. So let's add in user name label and connect. And then I actually forgot that we need to show our results. So we need another empty label in here somewhere. So let's actually, I'm going to click back over here to this view, open our toolbar. We need another label. So we need to drag this on to the screen here, and we need this to display, let's say right under the picker view here. So we're going to end up moving everything up just a little bit. Okay, so now that we added this label here, let's go ahead and just delete this out of here and click back onto the screen here so that everything is cleared, and come back to our constraints. And what we want to do is clear our constraints and add missing again. So this should work, and we need to add in this outlet for the results label here. So let's go ahead and drag that over here, and we're going to name this game results label and connect. Now that we added our labels, the next thing that we want to do is add our model. So we're going to go over here to the model folder, and what we want to do is click on New File and make sure you're in iOS and double click on Swift File. And we want to name this game, and then just click Create. And now we have our new game model. So let's go ahead and close this second view over here, and we can get rid of import foundation. And the first thing that we want to do is type in class and game and curly braces and enter. So here is our new game class. Something to start doing is actually making sure some of your variables are actually private. So let's type in private and var, and we'll do result text and equals string with parentheses. So we're initializing this private variable as a string and giving it an empty value right now. So let's go ahead and do this for a few more. So let's do private var app choice text equals string, and then private var winner equals string, and then we'll do private var app wins equals string, and private var player wins equals you know what, we need to make these ints, and same with this one, it needs to be an int as well because these are going to be our scores. So now we have 3 strings and 2 ints, and what I want to do is create a private struct. So let's do private struct, and we're going to do random number, curly brackets, and then var num equals drand 48, and we can hit tab. The structure is random number and the variable inside is num, so that way when we call this private structure, we're going to get num as a random number, and we're going to use that to assign it to rock paper scissors for our app's choice. Let's add in another function here, and let's call this get game winner parentheses, and let's add in player choice as a string here. So we're going to be passing in a variable for player's choice into our function, and we want to return a string. So let's do curly brackets enter. We actually need a few functions that are going to be called inside get game winner. So I'm going to skip over this for now, and we're going to go ahead and add those. So the first function that we want down here is going to be calculate app's choice parentheses, and it's going to return a string. And we're going to declare a constant variable here, and that's going to be our random number. So let's say let random equal random number. So that's our struct. All we're doing is initializing it here as random. And then let's hit enter. We'll go down a few spaces, and let's say switch random, and then dot num. So basically we're calling our structure here, and dot num is going to return that variable number, or that random number. And let's call our curly brackets enter, and the first case that we want will be 0 with 3 dots, and then 0.33. colon, and then enter. And what we want to do is assign apps choice text equal to rock. Okay, so what this does is for our first case, we're going to say, okay, random number, if it's 0 through 0.33, then we're going to assign apps choice as rock. And then what we want to do is add in our next case, and we want to do 0.33 through, and then we'll do 0.66. And actually, let's make this 34. And colon, and then we'll do the same thing with apps choice text equal to paper. And then another case, and we'll do 0.67 through, and we'll do 0.99. And assign apps choice text equal to scissors. And now we have our three cases, and let's add a default case here. So we'll say default and colon and then break. So it just breaks out of the switch case. And here's our curly bracket for our switch case, so we're going to enter after that, and let's just print, and we will do quotes with a front slash and parenthesis, and we'll do random.num, and then we will do equal, and then another forward slash parenthesis apps choice text, and ending quotes in there. And what this is going to do is whenever the apps choice is set, we're going to see it print on our screen below, so that way we can tell what the random number is and what the outcome is, and that's for our viewing so we know what's going on. And after that, we want to return our string, and we just want to return apps choice text. And that's it for our calculate apps choice function. So let's add in our next function below. And for this one, we want to do function add point to winner and parentheses, and let's do var app colon, and then we'll do int comma and var player as an int as well. And we want to return multiple values here, so we're going to do parentheses, and we're going to do new app score as an int, comma, new player score as an int also, and curly brackets, enter. So we're going to take in two numbers and return two numbers. So let's go ahead and space down here, and let's do another switch case. And we are going to switch on winner variable that we have assigned up top, and curly brackets. And our first case will be player colon, and then what we will do is take the player int that we have passed in and say player plus plus, and all that is doing is adding 1 to whatever the value is of player score that is being returned to us. So let's go down and call another case, and we will say quotes app colon, and we'll say app plus plus, and we have to do a default case as well. Now our default case here is actually going to serve a purpose, and what we need to look at is we're switching on winner, so there may not be a winner. It could be a tie. So our default case is going to represent if it's a tie, then what we need to do is return parentheses and app and player. This way it's just going to return whatever the value is for each one. That way nothing will be incremented, no one will get a point, and we need to come down here, just delete this space here, and after this second curly bracket hit enter, and then what we want to do is return app and player again, whatever the new score is if one has been incremented. So now we have our add point to winner function. So it's going to add a point to the winner, or it will return whatever the score originally was with no points added. And now to go back to our get game winner function, let's go back and add in let app choice equal, and then calculate app's choice. So we're initializing our function below and assigning it to app choice, and we need to add another constant variable. So let's say let choices equal parentheses, and we will say app's choice, comma, and then player choice. So here what we're doing is taking app choice, which is going to be the outcome from calculate app's choice function, and it's going to be passed back to app choice here. And then player choice is being passed in from our get game winner function, so we will have both choices, the app's choice and the player's choice here in a variable for choices. So we want to switch on choices. So let's say switch and choices. And for our first case, we will do parentheses and then rock, comma, paper, and colon, and then let's say result text equals the app chose and forward slash parentheses, we'll do app choice, and then comma, and then we'll do forward slash n for a new line. Let's just do that right after the comma, and let's say you win. Quotes. So instead of typing all of this out each time, let's actually add another variable up here, and let's say we can call it app1 and say equal to, and let's go ahead and put this string up here, and now that is assigned, we can just say result text equals app1, and that makes that easy as well. So let's go down to our next case, and for this one we are going to say rock, comma, scissors, colon, and for this one we want to say result text equals, and then the app chose forward slash, and then app choice, comma, forward slash n, the app, we'll do app wins, and ending quotes. And now we need another variable up here, and I actually have these mixed up, so let's go ahead and switch these real quick. Let app 1, and this should be player 1. And we need to switch this. So player 1, and then app1 equals, and then we need this string here. And now we can assign this app1. Okay, so now we have it straightened out. So let's add in our next case and continue this all the way down. And I'm just going to go ahead and fast forward through this. Okay, so now that I have all of them in, you guys can take a look at this video and make sure it matches up correctly. And the other thing that I forgot is we need to add in a winner. So we need to assign winner variable to whatever the winner is, or whoever the winner is. So we can either type in player or app. Make sure it's lowercase and not uppercase. That way it matches what we have down below. Down here we put player and app, so it needs to exactly match whatever this is, whatever you put down here, up here. So here, let's do winner equals and player. And for this one down here, we're going to do winner equals and then app. Okay, so now you should have result text all set and the winner set as well for all of your cases. And the last thing we need to do here is put in a default, and the default will be for our tie. So we'll say result text equals the app chose / app choice, and comma, we'll do / n, and we'll say it's a tie with quotes. So winner will be equal to, and we'll just say tie, because it doesn't really match anything, so our default case is going to catch it down below. And let's go down to our second to last curly bracket and hit enter. And we want to print winner equals / parenthesis winner and ending quotes. And that way we're going to see who the winner is also in our debug screen below. And we still need to return our string, and we want to just return the result text. That way it'll fill in our result label we have for our home screen. Okay, so for our game model, that is all we're going to do as of right now. And I wanted to get this video out because it's been a few weeks, but I've been working on an algorithm that basically calculates the player's next move. What I want to do is take that code, which is actually written in Python, and I want to convert that to Swift. And I'm going to have a function down here, probably call it like AI engine RPS, and I've been working on it, and I really want to translate it and get it on here, because what I want to do is add a little switch on our main view, and that little switch will be able to turn on the AI. That way, if they want to make it challenging, this is something they can turn on and try to beat our app. I haven't had it completely translated yet, so I'm working really hard on that, and hopefully I'm able to convert it and get it uploaded for you guys, because I think it'd be really cool. So now that we're done with our model, let's go ahead and go back to our main view controller. So let's go up top here, and what we need to do first is add in Uitextfield Delegate. And another comma, and UI picker view delegate as well. And then we need to space down below our IB outlets, and we're going to do private let game choices equal brackets, and we're going to do rock, comma, paper, and scissors. And this is our array, and it's just rock, paper, scissors strings. So this is an array string that we have that's a constant. It's never going to change. It's preset, and we're going to use that throughout our app. So our picker view will be displaying all three of these as choices, and it'll be set to our text field to display back to the user. Let's set these up here to private as well. And if you guys want, you can go back into all the other pages and make all of your outlets private, which is what I did. And you guys will be able to see that when you go through the code that I've uploaded on GitHub. And like I said, you just want to keep all of your outlets, all of your variables, you want to keep them as private as possible so that other classes aren't able to use them. Nothing's being manipulated. It's all going to stay inside that class or inside that model. And unless you want it to be public, then you can just leave it how it is, because in Swift and Xcode, everything is automatically public. So if you specifically want something private, you need to put private. The next thing that we want to do is go to our view did appear and get rid of this little comment here. And inside here, what we want to do is username label dot text equals, and we'll say quotes welcome / and then we need pf user dot current user, and then we'll do exclamation mark dot username exclamation mark parenthesis and then comma and quotes. So what this is going to do is find out what the username is that was logged in with and display it back to the user in that label. So it's going to replace what we have with welcome and then the actual username and then another comma. So let's go down and let's say game and picker view dot delegate equals self. And we need to do that for the player choice text as well. We'll call dot delegate equals self. So for our first picker view function, let's space down below logout button, and we will type in function text field should begin editing and tab over. And then the code that we want to type in is game picker view dot hidden equals false, and then return down and return false for this function. So what this means is, did the player click on text field to begin editing? If so, we're going to display the picker view and allow them to select a choice from there. So let's go down. Let's do function picker view. The one that we want is did select row. And what we'll type in here is player choice text, and then we'll do dot text equals game choices, and then the row that was selected, and then return down, and we'll do game picker view dot hidden equals true. And then let's space down one more time and say if player choice text dot text does not equal, and we'll say the select that we had typed in with the dashes as a string. So if it doesn't equal select, then we want to set our player button to enabled. So we actually have to add another IB outlet here. So let's just click on the double rings here, go back to our main storyboard quick, and then what we can do is right click and drag over to the IB outlets from the play button, and we'll just say play button as a UI button, and then connect. And then we can get rid of this side view over here again and go back to our main view controller. And we can add private again and go back down to where our if statement is and say play button dot enabled equals true, and then play button dot alpha equals 1, and that's going to set it back to the original color. And then what we want to do is add an else and say play button dot enabled equals false, and play button dot alpha equals 0.5. So basically this is checking to make sure that the player actually chose something other than what was originally on the screen select, and if so, it enables the play button, sets it to the original color, and if it is still select, then it will not change the button and the player won't be able to actually make or use the play button still. So they're going to be forced to actually choose an option in the game. So let's go ahead and add in another function here, and we'll do picker view again, and this time we want title for row, and we want to add in return game choices brackets and then row, so whatever the row was selected from our array. Okay, and now we have two more functions to return, and for some reason my my editor doesn't want to find the functions. So what I did was I just copied them from my other test file that I had, and I'm just going to paste them in there. So the other ones are picker view with a number of rows, and you're going to just type in return gamechoices.count, and that's going to return 3 rows. And then the last one is number of components in picker view, and that's just the number of columns, and we're going to return 1. So this way our entire picker view is set up correctly. And I'm not really sure why these aren't showing up in my Xcode, but I was able to copy them, and you guys should be able to do the same thing, or just type the whole thing in as you see it here, and that should work as well once you have everything completed. And now we need to assign a few variables here that have a getter and setter. So let's add in our variables right below our logout function. Let's just add it right here. So we'll space down a little bit here, and let's type in private var app wins, and that is going to be an int. And then let's say get enter and then return, and we're going to do ns number, and we want formatter, and then we're going to do parentheses dot number from string, and our string is going to be app wins, and that's our UI label, dot text unwrapped with another exclamation mark at the end of the parenthesis, dot integer value. So that'll complete it. So let's return down here and space down, and we need a set with curly brackets, and let's say app wins dot text equals, and we will say quotes with a front slash parentheses and new value. Since we named this app wins and our label is already app wins, what we need to do is rename this. So let's just say get app score as our variable. Okay, so what this is going to do is create a variable called get app score, and we have a getter and setter. So whenever we assign a number to this variable, it's going to get whatever the value is, and it's going to return what we have as a string and turn it into a number and return that. And then once it finally gets set, then it will set the new value. So new value is the default variable for set. You can always redefine a variable in here as whatever you want, new score. If you wanted, you can do whatever you want, but the default is new value. So we're just going to leave it as new value. What we need to do is one more private variable, and we're going to say get player score. And that will be an int as well. And we'll call our getter. And we want to do the same thing here. So I'm just going to copy this and paste it below. But in here, we want player wins to be called. And then for our setter, we want to say player wins dot text equals, and then again new value. Okay, so now we have both of our variables with getter and setter applied to them. The next thing we want to do is finish up our play button touched here. So let's space down here, and we need to initialize our model. So let's say let game equal game parentheses, and then we will say game result label dot text equals game dot get game winner, and we need to pass in a string, so we need player choice passed in there, and we need that as a text unwrapped. Okay, the last thing we need to do is actually apply the points and update the score if needed. So let's do a set of parentheses here, and we will say get app wins, or get app score, comma, get player score, and then that is going to equal game dot add point to winner, and we need to pass in our get app score again, and for the player we need to get player score as well. So what we're essentially doing is calling add point to winner, and we're going to pass in our score for our app and our player, and we're using our getter for that, and then we are going to assign it to the variables again, which is going to call the setter on these and reapply the score. And we still have one error, so let's check that out real quick. Missing return in a function, so we forgot to return our number here. Okay. Alright, so we're clear, so let's go ahead and build and run. and let's make sure everything is working correctly. So we have our main screen here, and it's showing my username, and we have our text field with select in it, and we have our scores down here and our button that's grayed out. As I click on it, nothing happens. That's exactly how you want it. So let's select, and here's our picker view. So we can say, let's say paper, and now our button is back and we should be able to click on it. And you can see here the result says the app chose paper, it's a tie. So the number was 0.39, that equated to paper, and winner is a tie. So let's just click it again and see what happens. So now the app actually chose scissors and the app wins, and it updated our score. You can see the results here, and let's say scissors. And the app chose paper, I won. So looks like everything's working here. You guys can just keep clicking it to see what happens, and it should update it as it goes. Everything looks good. So now we've completed our home screen, and we'll be able to move on to our skills and our map at the end with the search of ourselves as a developer. So I hope you guys like this one as well. Like I said, I really want to get this algorithm into this app. I would love to have a little switch somewhere that turns on the AI and makes it more challenging to where I'm actually trying to beat the app instead of just a number, random number, come up. It allows us to accomplish what we're trying to accomplish now. It's not that efficient. So I'm going to try and work on that. I hope you guys enjoyed the video as always, and if you found this helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe to my series. I'm going to have many more videos coming out, and don't forget to check out the code on GitHub. See you guys later.